All right, I guess we'll go ahead and kind of get started. I don't want to waste y'all time. I know it's school night. Um, for those that are new, my name is Jermaine Poynter. I'm the head high school wrestling coach. Um, we're at a point in our this is our eighth season since we've been back as a sanctioned sport. Our third going into our third season for girls. So we have had a lot of success over in the past recent years. So I'm really passionate about wrestling, and I'm glad that your kids signed up to come out and give it an opportunity. One of the first things I want to talk about is philosophies or coaching philosophy. We're going to change some. We're trying to flip the mindset. We have had, like I said, we've had a lot of success, and we're chasing greatness. So like we're trying to chase the Union counties and the Christians and your Paducah Tillmans and get to a level where we're able to compete with them on a consistent basis. We're getting better and better every year. So our motto this year, or like our phrase that we have this year, is we're kind of using the school system, playing off the school system's motto of pursuing excellence in all we do. So whether that's in practice, in the school, at home, in the community, during the match, we're always pursuing excellence. Does that mean we have to always be perfect? No, it does not. What that means is we're always striving to be the best version of ourselves, to be that best person and pursue excellence. I didn't say, like I said, I didn't say be excellent all the time. We're pursuing excellence. So it's a constant pursuit, a constant race for that. So one of our rules this year, we don't say I can't, because you just strike that from your vocabulary. I can't should not be a word. And that's part of our philosophy this year. We're pushing people to extend themselves, to put themselves in uncomfortable positions, to try different things, to do new things, because you never know what you can do until you at least attempt and try. And just because you don't get it on the first time, don't mean you won't get it the next day. We've had tons of wrestlers that have come through here that started out and they didn't do as well as they thought they was, and by the time it was over with, they're sitting on the podium, they're winning matches, they're doing all types of things that they never thought they could do, all because they put in the work and they didn't give up and they continue to try and pursue excellence. So, sorry, I can't. Look at that. We don't say I can. I mean, and respect for yourself, respect for your parents, respect for your school, the name on that's going to be on your singlet, respect for your teammates. Like I said, we everybody has to be on the same page. Wrestlers, students, coaches, parents. We're trying. Like I said, that's just one of the things that I've noticed. Like some of these teams that have had the most success, one of the things they all got in common. So that's kind of our philosophy this year. We're always going to be pursuing that excellence. One thing that we're going to do to start working that, earning that part, because I don't cut anybody. Unlike a lot of sports where you go out and you got to try out and you get cut. If you come out, you're on the wrestling team and you put in the work, you're on the team. But one thing we are going to do to encourage that consistent pursuit of excellence, like I was just talking about, is we are going to a system where we're going to have a tiered practice uniform system. So we're going to be getting practice uniforms for everybody, and it will start out and like you'll get maroon shorts and like a gray top, showing it, but you gotta earn that. So after you've been to like 4 or 5 practices and you've been there consistently, you're there putting in the work, you earn your first tier, you earn your first shirt. After you've been there for a while and you're putting in work and you're starting to do things, having a lot more success, well, then you get bumped up to the next level, which is your maroon shirt. So you'll see some maroon shirts starting out the year. That's all anybody that was a state placer last year or a state qualifier last year will start out. Our captain this year will start out in a maroon shirt. Just one of them things to gives kids something to strive for, something to push for and look forward to. So you'll come in, you'll wear your practice gear, you'll come in, change out, so when your school's out, the kids got to get down there, get ready, changed out, get in your practice gear and get ready to go. We're going to try to come up with a system where you, at the end of the day, you change, hook your stuff, run it through like a bungee cord through your short and shirt, It'll have a name tag on there for you. You'll throw them in the laundry basket. We'll wash them, and you'll get your stuff back. That way, they don't go home, and then the next day I show up, Coach, I ain't got my stuff, so I got whatever on. It's pushing uniformity, pushing a level of respect for your team and everything else. So that's one of the things we're going to do. For you new parents, the difference between wrestling, that philosophy of team versus individual sports. Yes, wrestling is a team sport because there's a team aspect and everything to do, but for the most part, it is an individual sport. When you're wrestling, it's not like football, basketball, baseball, where you got other players that you have to depend on to do their job for you to win. If you go out there and win your match, I mean, you have won. You've done that. That goes towards your record and helps you towards like feedings situations at the end of the season for postseason. So it is a team sport because there is a team aspect. For like every match we win, we do get team points for an overall duel to have like a team's overall team score. But realistically, that's one of the things I loved. You can do the one sport where you can do your job perfectly and win your match and still be successful. Whereas like football, you're the quarterback, you can do everything right, but your line mess up, receivers don't run the right route, and you still lose. So that is the one thing I love about that aspect of it. And the next thing is the life lessons that you're going to learn for as far as discipline, building confidence, self-esteem, wrestling. Like if anybody tells you that the school doesn't have a martial arts program, they're lying to you. Wrestling is a combat sport. It is a form of martial arts. It is the oldest sport in the world. So that's why I love wrestling so much. Like I say, it was my favorite. I did everything: football, baseball, wrestling. I threw shot put and distance for track, and wrestling was by far my favorite. And it's taught me like to strive, because nothing like when you're grappling or wrestling with somebody and you're getting pushed to your limit and dealing with adversity and have to fight through that adversity and pull out a win. That's stuff that carries on in life when you leave here, when you get out in the real world, when life's kicking it. Some of you adults understand when life's kicking you down and you deal with adversity and just realizing, okay, if I just weather the storm or I keep pushing through, I'm going to get to the next level. So we try to teach those things here to not only make them good wrestlers, good students, but better people when they leave our program. So some as far as expectations for wrestlers, practice. So practice is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, high school, and then so you're expected to be there. Now, if there is a emergency situation, something comes up that's like extreme importance, emergency, like I need to be contacted. Our coach needs to be contacted because that's another thing we're trying to teach them. They're old enough now they can communicate and do and talk to coaches, and because that's what they'll have to do in the real world. When they're sick and can't make it to work, they got to pick up the phone and be able to call into work and say, "Hey, I'm sick. I'm not coming in. Here's why. I'll get my stuff. What do I got to do to take care of my responsibilities?" Now, things are a little different this year with that because we have with Hospitals 181, we have the Rooms app that we have to communicate through unless we have a waiver on file for you. But even with that, I think I've worked out some of the kinks down, so I'm starting to see more messages pop through. If your child knows like they're sick, they got a doctor's appointment, there's an emergency at home, something happened, this message, boom, coach, this is what I got going on, and we won't hold it against you. But I do that, and then and that goes for everything. Like I have kids that still have jobs. Unfortunately, they got cars and they got to pay car insurance, and they try to adjust their schedules as best they can, but not a lot of times it ain't always possible. They may have to miss a day of practice to go to work so they can make that money so they can pay that car insurance. But communicating, letting me know, okay, hey, I'm not going to be there today. I'll be there every other day, but I got to work this day. But we try to put out our times and stuff ahead of time. So what we're trying to do, so the kids will have time, especially with work, they have a chance to communicate with their jobs, let them know, hey, I'm participating in a high school sport. This is our schedule, what practice looks like, and figure out and try to come up with some type of understanding and work schedule that'll piece that. I know a lot of kids typically Sundays is the day they most work. They get the most of their hours in, and then a lot of them they will go work, like they'll come to practice and they may bounce out at 5:30 and go work 6 to 10 or something so they can get a few hours in during the week. Because I know there's only so many hours they can work anyway during the school year, but that's what we do with that. Being on time to practice. If you're in the building, there's no reason you should be late to practice. And you're coming to practice, especially when you're getting released from inside the building and you're coming down here. Going out to the cars and hanging out for 20, 30 minutes, then showing up late, that's not going to cut it this year. When you get out of school, your wrestler needs to get down to the facility, get changed out, help get the mats down, and get ready to go so we can get practice going. That being said, there's other things. If you got a test, your wrestler has a test or something they got to stay after school for, or they're in some other school activity that's requiring their time for that thing, communication. I had Sydney who wrestled for me last year, and she was like a chapter school officer for FFA. And they had meetings like once or twice a month. So she would send me a message or an email, Coach, I got FFA today. I'll be about 30 minutes late. Bam. I knew where Sydney was. What I don't want to see is you send me something and then I see on Facebook like we had a few years ago, they're at a concert hooping and hollering. Remember that, Jason? Hooping and hollering. I'm like, oh my, yeah, caught. Equipment, as far as practice goes, like I said, we're going to give you practice gear. I'm trying to decide. We're trying to work to see. I may even add sweatpants in that. We'll see. But you'll get that. You'll need to have a pair of wrestling shoes. You can get that at any sporting goods store, Hibbett's, Dick's, Academy. I would, if you're going to order them off Amazon or something, I would suggest going to like one of them places and at least trying a pair on. So get out, because wrestling shoes do fit a tad different than a normal shoe. So you can get that anywhere. If you have, they will need headgear, wrestling headgear. Then you can get that from anywhere. I don't care what color shoes you have, what color headgear you have. It just, with the headgear, it just can't have like the big, huge design all over it. Like you'll see some headgears out there and they'll have the big, huge American flag all over it, or they'll have like Powder Puff Girls or some cartoon character or something. Can't have them. Only thing can have is like a 1/4-inch logo, like the Adidas logo or whatever logo it is on it. If you're not sure, take a picture of it, send it to me, and I'll tell you yay, nay before you go spend your money on it and then realize that you can't even use it. But shoes, I care less. I got girls that wear pink shoes, some wear purple shoes. I got boys that wear teal shoes. I don't care about the rest of the shoe color. If you have braces, top and bottom, you have to have the double mouth guard. It cannot be just a single mouth guard. It has to be the one for top and bottom. Because if you have braces, when you go up to weigh in, the referee will ask to see your mouth guard. You have to take it with you to weigh-ins. And if you don't have it, they won't let you wrestle. As far as equipment, that's really all you need. When we get to talking about fees, the fees that you pay and the fundraisers that we do help cover warm-ups. So your child does not have to pay for their actual warm-up that they wear at a competition. And the beauty is they get to keep that stuff. That's theirs to keep. So we have started conditioning already for my previous wrestlers that have been here. We're conditioning on Tuesdays and Thursdays right after school till 6 o'clock. And then we're having open mats on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. The open mats, as far as conditioning goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're lifting weights, they're doing cardio, anything we can do to get them stronger, get them in better shape, get them faster while we can right now. And on Saturday mornings, we have open mat. That's where my veterans can come in, shake off the rust, get out there, roll around on the mat. We can do some drills. If I got new people that come out, we can take the time to work with them and start showing them some of the basics before the season actually gets here, so that way they're a little ahead of the curve. So that's that right now, and we'll continue to do it that way up until October 15th. October 15th is the first official day of high school wrestling season. And so that's the first official day that practices are mandatory. Right now, conditioning aren't mandatory, it's voluntary. If you got other sports, if you got other activities, or if you're trying to figure out your work schedule, it's not necessarily mandatory that you come to conditioning. Now, I would like for you to, but if you can't be there, I understand. We'll get with you, and I'll figure out how to give you some workouts or something you can do on your own until you get there. But come October 15th, that's when I can say, okay, practice is mandatory now. You got to start showing up. With that being said, we're going to start taking attendance too at practice. If I got a wrestler that's continually late and absent, they're probably going to forfeit their chance to wrestle off for spots, because it's not fair for people that are there every day working. So it doesn't matter how good you are. If you hadn't used your communication skills and don't have a valid reason for why you're missing or why you're late, after so many, you may forfeit your weigh-in spots. So the way wrestling works in a duel, we have 14 weight classes for boys, 12 weight classes for girls, and then they're based off your weight. Girl starts at 100 pounds. It goes 100, 107, 114, 120, 126, 132, 138, 145, 152, 165, 185, and then 235. So there's 12 weight classes there. And when on the way a duel works, that wrestler, they'll start they typically referee draws and tells you where you're starting. But like if he draws at 100 pounds for the girls, they'll line up in weight class order based off their weight. And then they'll step up on the scale and weigh in. And then whoever is my varsity, I may have multiple people weighing in, but we will have a varsity wrestler that will if we have multiple, that will step up, weigh in, and he'll be the one to actually step on the mat. Now, a lot of times at duels, this goes the same way with the boys. The boys' weight classes are 106, 113, 120, 126, 132, 138, 144, 150, 157, 165, 175, 190, 215, and 285 for boys. So the weight classes are a little bit different. So same thing with them. Yeah, a lot of times if it's just a duel, like our team against this team, or maybe one other team, 3 teams, we put in a varsity lineup, and then occasionally we'll mix and match, depending on a lot of times we strategize. We're like, okay, this kid can beat this kid, so we're going to move this kid up and we'll put this kid in here. And then there'll be times but we try to make sure everybody can and get to a point where we can wrestle. But I know one thing we're doing different this year with our scheduling, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, is I've added several tournaments that I'm strictly sending JV kids to. So that way they get to wrestle a little bit more. They get a little chance to see the hard work they're putting in, because they're coming to work. Just because they can't beat somebody in a wrestle off doesn't mean they shouldn't have the opportunity to wrestle. So that gives them a chance to put in the work, because they do have a JV, at least the boys do, a JV regional and a JV state opportunity. Now, when I'm saying going back to the starting varsity spot, the way it works, I do 2 wrestle offs a year. We do one in the beginning, and then we'll do another one sometime after mid-January, before state duel. So basically, if my 100-pounder says, Coach, I want to challenge that other 100-pounder for his varsity spot, we'll have an actual wrestling match, exhibition match during practice. They'll wrestle off for that spot, and the winner will be the varsity wrestler until the next spot. and then well, we may do three. I think we talked about doing three this year. Having one in the beginning, one like at the beginning of the season, and then one like during Christmas, right before Christmas break, and then another one in January before because at the February postseason starts. So wrestling season runs from October to February. State tournament's not until February 28th, I think, or the 26th through the 28th. Yes. So it's the end of the February. So that's how long season lasts. So your child will have multiple opportunities. If your child is not wrestling off, there's typically a reason why they're not wrestling off. So it could be they've missed too much. They say no. I've had that happen. They see a kid that's wrestling in front of them and they don't want to wrestle. They don't want to wrestle. They just deny and say, "Yeah, I don't want to wrestle that guy. I'll just keep practicing and going to the JV tournaments or wrestling whenever I can." So there's typically a reason if your kid is not had a wrestle off. So, but we will give every kid an opportunity. We typically go through each weight class and we ask. The big thing with wrestling, weight cuts. I know every parent's probably heard about it, wrestling and losing weight and cutting weight. At the beginning of the season, we will do a hydration test. So your wrestler will come in, the trainer will come in and he will have them pee in a cup. They test their hydration levels to see how much water they get in their system. And then they do a pinch test. So they take the pinch calibers and they pinch their sides, their arms, I think the back of their shoulders, the back of their legs to see, and they use all that to determine how much weight they can lose and how fast they can lose. So the days of like when I wrestled in high school of taking laxatives and wearing garbage bags and doing all the crazy stuff to lose weight are long gone. Hydration is going to be key, especially if they're trying to cut. A lot of wrestlers do not cut weight the correct way. They think they can just starve themselves and not eat. So, hydration. I will tell you, my son, he drinks, when he was wrestling in college, he would drink 1 to 2 gallons of water a day. He's drinking water. Because typically, if you notice, they say you shouldn't drink when you eat anyway because the liquid makes you fuller. You don't get all the nutrients and stuff in. So by drinking water, like large amounts of water, you not only you can still eat, but you're not overeating. So when it's time to cut weight, you just stop drinking as much water a little bit the closer you get to weigh-in times. So that way, because he would come in and sweat off 8 to 10 pounds in practice of just water weight because he's been drinking so much water. And he was still eating every night, calling me from Chipotle, eating protein bowls. So he was eating pretty good. But you still got to manage. Now, does that mean you go to McDonald's and get 3 or 4 Big Macs and go to Dairy Queen, or have ice cream in one hand and sushi in the other, or burrito in the other hand? Probably not. But teach them a little bit of control, a little moderation, because everybody can learn a little moderation, learning how to eat better eating habits. If you see your child completely not eating, I want to know. Because I will tell them they're not cutting weight and they're going to stay where they're going to bump up to the next weight class. Because their health is ultimately more important. So cut weight the correct way. Now, are there going to be times we get a kid that's within 3 or 4 pounds, and we think he may have a better opportunity? We may try to get him to cut, whereby doing extra physical workouts, different things. We've done it in the past. We've been at tournaments and had people that showed up a pound overweight, 2 pounds overweight, and had them running on a treadmill before we even went to weigh in, just so we can cut weight off of them, make them sweat some water weight off. But if your child does not want to cut, they don't have to cut. They're more than welcome to stay right where they're at and wrestle whatever the weight class they're eligible for. But if they're going to cut, they need to do it the right way. Speaking of weight, after Christmas, they get 2 pound growth allowance. So if you wrestle 100 pounds after Christmas, the weight class is now 102. They're basically saying you've been eating at Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're going to give you 2 pounds. So that's that. So that's after Christmas, and then but you gotta be able to do that. We will have. I'm trying to work out the details. We're possibly going to do some either morning practices or evening or morning workouts because I thought it was beneficial. We didn't do it last year, and I don't think we was as strong as when we did it the year before. So not everybody is able to get there before school, and I completely understand that. So I can't really make the morning practices mandatory. But so long as if you can't get there for morning practice, that's okay, long as you're at practice after school. But if we do a morning practice, it may be one where you bring your shower stuff, you come, you get your workout in, go in the gym and change, shower and change before school even starts. Typically we start at like 5:45 and we practice all the way up to about 6:45. We get about an hour's worth of practice in, and then we cut them in there to go get ready for school. Some of the ones that drive that live close, they'll run home, take a shower, and then come back. But for the ones that don't, they're stuck there because their parents dropped them off. I mean, they're just going to go in there and take a shower and get ready, and then at 7 o'clock, they can go on over to the cafeteria or to the gym or wherever they're going to do. But I will put that out ahead of time. So one thing different this year too is the registration fee. There's a participation fee that we pay. It's $100. Normally, this year it's going up to $125. And the reason for that is we struggle. We've been struggling the past 2 years. We're getting parent volunteers to work concessions at our home matches. And typically I have 4 or 5 parents that do all the concession work, and they miss their kids wrestling because they're doing all this extra work. So one thing I'm going to do different this year is I bumped our fee, and then we're going to give a portion of our concession stand money that we get to probably the Skills USA Club, and that student organization is going to come in and work concessions, so that way parents can go watch. Now, at our tournaments, our concession workers will be taken care of, but we still, at our big tournaments, we typically have one November 29th. Which is our boys dual tournament. December the 20th for our girls is our individual tournament. January 3rd is our middle school tournament that we host here. And then January 17th, we're going to host a girls dual tournament this year. At those tournaments like those, we will do what they call a hospitality room. So what we do is typically I have a team mom or something. She'll send something out on band or something. Says, hey, who wants to bring in a side dish for the hospitality room? Or if you don't want to bring a side dish in, you can Venmo money here, and then they'll go order food. And what they do is we have a hospitality room, and that's for all the coaches, the other coaches from other teams, the referees, anybody working the event, so they get a chance to eat. Some of you I know that have been around know, especially have seen me, I'm typically running around like a chicken with my head cut off on tournament days, and I typically don't eat. And I got parents shoving food down my mouth as I'm running by. And they're like, Coach, get something in you. That's kind of why we have that, because coaches were all over the place, and same with the referees and stuff. So we'll have a hospitality room that we will cover typically. They'll ask parents to donate, or like I said, whatever, and then they'll have 1 or 2 parents that'll kind of take turns manning that, just to make sure that we ain't got a bunch of kids and other parents coming in from other teams coming in, eating up all our food. Then table workers. If we have to, at those tournaments, we will need table workers. So typically, like at our boys tournament we have on November 29th, well, it won't be able to be that way this year because the girls are wrestling that same day. But so typically what we'll do is we'll ask for a parent to come down. They'll sit at the table, and they'll help work the score clock or keep book. Typically, hopefully, my plan is to try to have 2 managers that can keep score. Have one of them go with the boys, one of them go with the girls. So that way I always got at least a scorekeeper. But when we're at home, when we have to have them, we may have to have, like I said, a scorekeeper or somebody to work the clock or something, or the book or something at the table. But the concessions is a big thing. Everybody hated working the concessions. I got several of them in here that did the majority of our tournaments. And like I said, that's not fair to them. You should have picked up. This is the fundraiser that we do. It's the buy a box. I looked at some other fundraisers, but I wasn't going to be able to get them in time for the board because the school board has to approve any fundraiser we do. We get two. Typically, we do this, and then we host a youth rec league during the February after state in February. That starts in February and goes to March, and we make almost $10,000 with that. Anywhere from 6 to 10. It just depends on how concessions and everything goes during that. But what this right here does is it covers, like I said, our warm ups. So between your participation fee and the fundraiser, that's our warm ups. That's our entry fees, because every one of these tournaments there's an entry fee that we have, and we pay that out of the money that we raise. So, and it goes from that entry fee goes from anywhere from $125 to $250, depending on the school and what they set their entry fee price as. So that's what they go. And then it goes to buy other equipment. I know, like, we're going to try. I got some singlets I have to replace this year because we're missing several. So I know I'm going to have to order some singlets to make sure we have enough for everybody. And then we're looking at getting a crash mat, a throw mat for practice throws and stuff. So that collection that covers all our equipment, warm ups, and the entry fees and different things like that. That also covers when we have to travel for hotel fees. Like if we go to state and we have to travel and stay overnight. Well, state, the school, the athletic department takes for. But if we go to another tournament out of town and we're going to go up the night before and stay overnight, that money for that hotel for the wrestlers whose parents are not going, that helps me able to get a room to put those wrestlers who can't stay with their parent in. So that way they get to go. So this will be due by, basically, if they want box 100, it's $100. If they want box 1, it's $1. I've never seen anybody fill it up, but I've had several people raise $600-$700. So it's just how hard you work at it. The goal is to raise as much money as we can, because that takes care of everything. That also takes care of the end of the season when we have our banquet. So when we have awards, when we are like the main course meal, the food that we get, we buy a lot of that and different things that we're able to do. So that's what that goes for as well. So I would say these need to be due back by, I told middle school October 27th. I'm going to say the same thing for y'all, because that gives me time to put in the order to get our warm-ups and stuff here and get them ready, so they're here before our first tournament. So October 27th for that one. I guess I should introduce. Right here, I got Coach Dunn. He is one of our assistant coaches. He primarily helps with the girls team. He does help with the guys when he's available. Next up, I got Coach Jackson Hogg. He primarily helps with our boys team, but you may see him at a girls team. We're kind of, with the amount of coaches we got, we may be all over the place. Next up, I got Coach Weston Melton. Like I said, he's primarily with my boys, but you could see him at a girls event. Over here, I got Coach Jason Henshaw. He's been with me since the beginning. You will see him sporadically throughout different tournaments when his work does not have him out of town. Typically, he's my rah-rah coach. When they're in their heads, he gets them out of their funk and gets them ready to go battle. Ain't that right, Kennedy? Literally. Where was we at? Was it state? Regionals. That's right. It was regionals. Henshaw couldn't be there. He had to go to work. We had to call Henshaw on the phone and have him getting her tail over the phone. And then she went out to the next match and wrestled like I knew she could and put it on somebody. So, all right, next up, schedule. If you look, the boys and girls schedules on the back. I did that so you can know when the tournaments are. November 29th, we're hosting our home tournament here, our fight duel tournament, the Fighting Colonel Classic. The the girls, while the girls will be going to Russellville, Kentucky, to wrestle in the Lady Panther Classic. December 6th, the varsity boys lineup is going to Evansville Rights for a dual tournament. While the rest of my JV wrestlers that aren't in that varsity lineup, they're going to Callaway County to wrestle in the individual tournament. In the Dickie Walls Invitational. On the 6th, the girls will be in Ohio County for the Screaming Eagle Invitational. So that's our first two tournaments events of the year. Then December the 9th, we have a home match. We're going to do a big brother, big sister duel this year. We're going to run 3 mats. Varsity boys on one, varsity girls on one on another mat, and then a varsity middle school lineup on a third mat. And we're wrestling Caldwell. So Caldwell's going to bring their boys, their girls, and their middle school, and we're going to wrestle 3 different levels of wrestling at one time. Next up, December the 13th, the boys will be going to Tate's Creek. This in Lexington. It's for the Commodore duels. Then also on December 13th, the girls will be at Southridge, Indiana to wrestle in the Win and Pin Girls Invitational Tournament they're hosting. Then we're back to having another home duel. This time we're wrestling in Owensboro Catholic and Trigg. So it'll be another try. So if you see 3 teams, like 2 other teams listed on the schedule, that's them 2 and us. That's called a try. If it's just 1 team and us, it's a duel. If it's 4 teams, it's a quad. So we'll wrestle Owensboro Catholic and Trigg. Trigg has a full girls team and a full boys team. Owensboro Catholic does not, but they do have 1 girl who they may want to get an official match. So they may have to wrestle a duel, even if they have to buy out the other ones, just so she gets the official match in. After that, December the 20th, now, as of December the 20th, we should be on Christmas break at that point. The bulk of our wrestling is during Christmas break. But I tried to ease up this year on some things. So December the 20th, the boys are going to Caldwell County for the Armstrong duels, while the girls will be at home hosting the Lady Colonel Invitational. It's the big individual tournament. Normally we have anywhere from 16 to 18 teams come. So it's a pretty big tournament. December the 22nd, the varsity boys will be going to Apollo for the Apollo duels, along with the girls. They're also doing their dual tournament. They're doing it on the same day. So they're going to run a boys and girls dual tournament on the same day. So we'll be at the same place that day. Also on December the 22nd, if we have JV wrestlers, that they will be going to Fort Campbell to wrestle in the JV regional tournament. Now, that Fort Campbell JV regional tournament, for me, if you end up being a JV wrestler, that is the qualifier to be eligible to go to JV state. So you can go up there and you'll still see tons of competition. There are several guys that are considered JV that would be starters on any team. Same with our team. They could go anywhere else and be a starter, but they may have a stud in front of them that they just can't get past. So they're state level people that will be at that JV tournament. So it'll be a good tournament to go to. We've typically had some success. How many did we place last year, Henshaw? 4. We had 4 JV state winners. So, I mean, yes. If you see Fort Campbell, parents, it is a military base we're going on. You have to have a real ID. Otherwise, they will not let you on base now. I was hoping that they was going to bypass that with it being a school event, But they said no. That goes for my coaches as well. Students don't have to worry about it. They'll be on the bus being transported. But parents, if real ID, you got to have your insurance. There has to be insurance on the car if you show up and they run it and you ain't got no insurance. They ain't letting you on base. Yeah, you got to have it all, hard copy, printed out to be able to show them. They will do a background check on you if you, and I hate to have to say this, but it's happened. If you have a warrant and know you have an arrest warrant and you go to Fort Campbell trying to get on the base, they will deny you and then they will probably call Hopkinsville PD to come pick you up. So, I mean, I hate for anybody to go up for that to happen, but I've seen it happen before.
You can do the background check there.
Yes. Yes, you can get on the military site, and there's a way to do a pre-screening and get the background check. So all you got to do is show up and show them your stuff, and then they let you get right through. So after that, now that's December the 22nd. That's a Monday for both of those three tournaments I just talked about. The boys and girls in Apollo, JV, and Fort Campbell. The very next day, on the 23rd, the boys are going to Christian County. And that one is a varsity only because that tournament is so big. Christian County has said we only are going to allow one entry per weight class. Most of these tournaments we go to, I can put my whole dang lineup in. I can take all 30 kids if it's an individual tournament and put them all in. But Christian County's tournament is so big, and they got teams from Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee that come, and it's so big that they've limited it to the amount of kids. So, but here's the beauty: you just wrestled the day before. That means you get a pound. So if you wrestle 106 and you wrestled on that Monday on the 22nd, when you show up at Christian County, you get to be everybody. All the coaches are probably shaking your hand because all teams get an extra pound. So now 106 is 107. Then our next event is not, so December the 23rd is, and 22nd, 23rd are the last wrestling we're going to do before Christmas. And so you don't have anything Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, or that Sunday. Monday, the 29th, December 29th, that's our next event. The boys are going to Louisville for a 2-day tournament. We're going to Fern Creek. We're going to wrestle. Day 1 is a dual tournament. Day 2 is an individual tournament. So that's the boys. The girls are also going to Fern Creek, but their tournament is only a 1-day tournament, which will be on Tuesday, the 30th. But at the same time, the boys are having their individual tournament. So we'll all be at one place. January 6th, after that, we're back at school. January 3rd is the next event. That's for the girls. The girls are going to Caldwell for the Ritchie tournament. Then January 6th is the boys' next event. After that, it's another home duel. That's our senior night. We will be wrestling Hopkinsville and Russellville that night. So that's on senior night. That's where we recognize our seniors. We'll have a banner. We'll have tables set up in the lobby, and moms and them can get together and decorate the table and bring medals in, bring all the shoes they've collected over the years, and any awards, pictures, whatever they want to do to decorate their seniors' table. And they can decorate, and people get to walk by and ooh and ah at your kid and all the success that they've had. So, and then we recommend during in between matches, one of the match between the boys, we'll probably do the first one, and then in between the Russellville and that match, we will have senior parents will line up across from the seniors. They'll walk out. Senior will give their mama a rose. Or if mama ain't got no mama ain't there, maybe they're going to give daddy the rose. Or aunt, uncle, grandma. Somebody's getting a rose that night. So that's our senior night. January 10th, we're going to Central Hardin. Now, as of right now, it's just the girls. But the boys are on the wait list because it's a boys and girls tournament, individual tournament. So they're not together, but they're individual, separate brackets. So I'm waiting to get in that. So then we start getting into the bulk of it. Sectional duels, January 17th. That'll be in McCracken. That's our qualifier. So that dual varsity lineup that's been wrestling, they're going to go to sectional duels. They're going to compete with anywhere from 3 to 6 other teams to see who qualifies to go to state duels, to have a chance to wrestle for a state dual title. That same day, like I said, that's the varsity lineup. I'm going to send a JV squad down to Union County to wrestle in the Bryce Sheffer duels. That'll be a dual tournament. The 17th, the girls will be home at hosting the Lady Colonel duels. Our first time we've done this event. January 22nd is the next event. Now this one's at Apollo. This is that quad. It's the same for boys and girls. So Apollo, Fort Campbell, Owensboro, and us. So there's 4 teams there. We'll be wrestling. January 24th, the boys will be going to Ohio County. The girls will be going to Christian County for a tournament. Then, pending on state dual qualifications for the girls, if they get selected to go to state duels, you'll see on there at the bottom it says South Warren dual tournament pending state dual selection. If they do not get selected to go to state duels, they will be going to that South Warren dual tournament. If they get selected to go to state duels, that's a scratch, and we'll be at state dual tournament that day. Hopefully the boys will have qualified on January 17th. So if that's the case, like last year, our boys and our girls will go back to state duels. Last year it was in Corbin, Kentucky. Isn't that right, Henshaw? Wasn't it Corbin? Yeah. So it was in Corbin, Kentucky. My guess is it'll probably be the same place. And then so that will be for the girls, state duels, either state duels or South Warren is their last match of the season, regular season. For the boys, they got one more individual tournament. They're going to Louisville Male. Last year we didn't get to go because half the team came down with the flu. So we are going to try to go back to that. But if you notice one thing on the boys' schedule, our last 2 regular season events are individual tournaments. Because when we got to regionals last year, we struggled because of the individual tournament, you'll wrestle one round and then you may not wrestle for an hour. Maybe an hour and a half, depending on how many people in your weight class and how big the other brackets are. So that sitting around waiting wore people down. People were tired. So I'm trying to do 2 individual tournaments so they get used to that format, that feel, and they know, okay, I got to get my butt up and get to moving around closer before my match gets there, so I get close. And then after that, it's postseason. And then we'll put more stuff out. Most of the postseason stuff is to be continued or to be determined. But there's a lot of wrestling on there. And I have found since we started wrestling more, we used to only wrestle like 10 matches. And we was nowhere near prepared. There's no better experience than wrestling experience than actually getting to wrestle. So that's one of the reasons we have as many matches as we do. Because like at a duel, you may say you're a 285 pounder. The team may not have a 285. So you may just get to go out there and get your hand raised as a forfeit and go sit down and not actually get to wrestle. So the more opportunities we give you, and then another reason I add out a lot of these matches is because it never fails between mid-December and January, either somebody's sick or we get snowed out and weather gets shut down. It may not even be our weather. It may be their place's weather and their school system shut them down. So I want to make sure we get enough mat time that way we can go. We're covered either way. Yes. Yes. That's typically with our JV wrestlers. Like when we go to a dual tournament, I've tried to add in a few more, but if we don't have another JV match or tournament that they can go to, they will go with us. And then if people have hosts, like Coach was saying, they don't have a 106 or a 285. Okay, we have a 10 extra 106 and 285. We're going to let them wrestle on your team, and it'll be an exhibition match. The other team will get the win. It won't count for you for anything, but you're getting to wrestle and you're getting valuable mat time. With all this wrestling being said, brings me to my next point. Between all the practice and all the wrestling, hygiene. They need to take care of their bodies. They need to go home from practice. They need to shower. If they can't shower, you let me know at home, and I will make them go in the locker room and shower so I know they shower before they leave. Because this is a combat sport. We are rolling and grappling and skin-to-skin contact. And if they're nasty and they ain't clean themselves, I mean, potential skin issues come up. And you can't wrestle with skin issues. We clean the mat. We clean the mat every day. We have a ultraviolet blue light thing that I roll over the mat. It's supposed to kill 99% of germs. But if they're sick and they know they're sick or they know they got some type of issue, they need to tell somebody. Because we've had kids that'll try to, I'll just cover this up. Coach will never see. And then they get up there rolling. Next thing you know, I got 2 or 3 kids that are sick or they caught something. Then I got to sit them out. And they can't wrestle until they get cleared. Which could affect lineups, dual tournaments, and affect potential wins. And so, if you know you're sick, or you know you got some type of skin thing, let me know so we can take care of it. But when you get done with practice, if your child would go home, immediately jump in the shower with and use some type of antifungal soap. You'll hear us say defense soap. It's a soap that was specifically made, antifungal soap that was specifically made for wrestlers and like jiu-jitsu people. And they had the wipes. So like you can buy the wipes after you get done wrestling, wipe down your arms real good just to give a little quick something. Especially traveling. You never know how somebody else takes care of their house. So, like defense wipes, my goal is to try to get a bulk of defense wipes to take with us to matches. So that way when our kids come off, they can at least take and wipe down their arms, their exposed skin areas. That way and then go home, take your shower. It ain't gotta be defense soap. It can be some type of antifungal soap. Yes, the yellow dial soap, good antifungal soap. Hygiene, shoes, your headgear, wipe them down periodically, especially when we've been traveling a lot. Take like defense wipe or chlorine wipe or something.
It's like 10.
Yeah, they do have the spray too that you can spray your headgear down and let them hang up and dry and spray your shoes. So let's take care of that. That way, the more we try to prevent, the better we are. The more we do a little preventive maintenance. Shoes. Your wrestling shoes. I do not want to see anybody walking outside the gym in their wrestling shoes. Because the moment you go outside the gym with your wrestling shoes and you step on the concrete, there are germs everywhere. And then you come back in and you step on my wrestling mat and you're just infecting that whole mat and potentially making yourself sick, making somebody else sick or something. So shoes don't go outside. So they always need to have, a lot of kids we go to tournaments, they'll wear slides or something to the tournament. And then they'll put the shoes on, wrestling shoes on when they get there after they weighed in, and then they'll kick them off. And same thing with practice. They should always have another pair of shoes. They should never leave with their with the wrestling shoes on, which goes back to wiping your spring or wiping your shoes down and your headgear down. All right, so that's hygiene. 24-hour rule. I say it every year. It is inevitable. Wrestling is a emotional sport. We get wound up. We get caught into things. Parents get wound up. Luckily, I hadn't had any mamas run out on the mat and snatch nobody up yet. I've come close, but somebody stopped them before they could get out there to drag the kid off of their kid. But if something is bothering you and you are upset about something and you need to communicate with a coach, preferably me as the head coach, I call it 24-hour rule. That gives you time, especially after a match, time to process, calm down, maybe get your head right, and me to calm down or a coach to come down especially after a tough loss, to get up, because my adrenaline level is up here on match days. I'm running all over the place. I'll go from screaming and yelling on the floor, pounding on the mat, to jumping up and down, so I'm all over the place. The last thing we want is an upset parent and a coach just overstimulated to butt heads, especially at a meet or somewhere. So, and it always happens. Somebody's going to call or text and say, I'm fired up, I want to talk. And I'm going to be like, I either won't respond to your text, and I'll say 24-hour rule, and I'll get back with you tomorrow. Or we'll try to have a conversation as soon as we can. But that way, both parties can come together and talk like they got some sense. Right? And that brings me to my next point. Parental expectations. And this goes for wrestlers too. When we go to these other places or when we're hosting stuff, we are representing Henderson County. We are representing the school system. Kids, you are representing your parents. That name that's on the back of your warm-up, you're representing them. So if you're at a tournament or somewhere and you're acting like a knucklehead, remember that. You're representing your parents. And would you act like that if your parents weren't around? If they were around. So, but with parents, coaches too, we've talked about this. We do not want to embarrass ourselves, and we do not want to embarrass Henderson County, because what does everybody have? I've seen it. Coaches, there was one the other day, I was scrolling through TikTok. A parent recorded a fight at a football game or it was a basketball game or something. Parent walked there, they're mad at the coach. Next thing you know, they're fighting, and what's everybody doing? They're recording it, putting it on, and they're putting you on blast. And you may be in complete right, but we don't want, you know what I mean? We don't want that embarrassment to say, oh man, look at Henderson County, look what they're doing. That's not what we want for our program or for y'all, because we're trying to raise people in the proper way and in the right mindset. I think that may be equipment hygiene prayer. But what you can do is be positive. I don't want to hear any negative stuff. I probably won't even entertain it. If I hear negative about parents complaining about other parents, I don't have time for that. Parents, I mean, y'all are grown-ups. I shouldn't have to police parents and kids and everything else. So, but try to be positive, especially when our wrestlers are around and they're in earshot. Being mindful of what you say, because what the kids do, they're going to hear what parents say, and that's the first thing they're going to do. Did you hear what this person said? Did you hear what this person said? Then next thing you know, we got issues all over the place. We've had those issues. I don't want to deal with them anymore, because all it does is cost me hours of time on the phone, going back and forth. So we're setting that. Remember, I told you we're setting that expectation. We're pursuing excellence, so we're going to try to be better as better people too. Respecting officials. Wrestlers, do not ever argue with an official. If you're on a wrestling mat and you don't like the call, that's our job. Because let me tell you what happens when you argue with a referee. That will probably be the last call you get for the rest of the day. I mean, is it fair? No, but that's reality. There's
The only thing, there's times that we don't see, we're not responding, because we're playing our cards at the right time. You know what I mean? We might be the one that don't matter now, and we want that call later. You know what I mean? Don't make it right, don't make it easy, but you gotta play the same game that you play.
yes.
Balance is second, it's more early in the day.
We pick and choose our battles. Because I wish Scotty was here, because my other coach, Scotty Hogan, because he likes to argue with the officials and go to the table and arguing. But what he doesn't tell you is that if they throw Scotty out, they say Scotty's ejected, he's not actually ejected. They throw the head coach out. And then I got to go sit in the car while Scotty gets to keep coaching. Now, how is that fair? I don't know, but that's the rules. So typically, we have to restrain Scotty and sit him down every now and then. Now, will you see us get heated with referees? We'll have some conversations, especially if I think they're doing our kid completely wrong or putting our kid in some type of harm's way. I'll take that little 2-point deduction if it means taking care and protecting my kid.
Another parent comes across, we're there probably quicker than anybody else.
Yeah.
Both teams coming across that path, they make it work.
So, does anybody got any? Buses, transportation. You do not. All wrestlers will ride the bus to every event unless it's like an out of town thing and we don't have a bus and we're going to stay overnight, or like a lot of times if we go in 2 or 3 hours away, some parents will go up the night before. They don't want to get up early and ride the bus, so they'll go up the night before. Long as I know and you communicate and you know what time to be there, I'm okay with it. But just our everyday tournaments and duels, your kid rides the bus. They ride the bus to there. Now, I would prefer for them to ride the bus back, but I do realize that some of these places we go to, it may be 9:30, 10 o'clock before we're almost done. And some of you people don't want to drive all the way, especially coming from Orangeboro, drive all the way back in town just to go all the way back out to Hebbersville when you literally just passed the exit. So I get that. So we will have, typically if something like that happens, we will have a sign-out sheet where they can sign out. But if they can drive the bus back, it's good for camaraderie. It's good for team bonding, for them to be together. Miss anything? Adrian, did I miss anything? That is all I have. Oh, I did miss something. Arbiter, if you, so backtrack. Parents, we use band for communication. Now, what's getting ready to happen? Wrestlers, I'm sorry, I'm about to kick every wrestler off the band app because not every kid. I still got kids trying to call me and text me, and I'm not really supposed to communicate with them unless I got a waiver signed. So, and I post this stuff on band, and wrestlers will get on there and want to comment and ask questions. And I think safer wise is I just put the wrestlers off, and your wrestler needs to make sure they have, and parent need to make sure they have that rooms app, the Thrill Share rooms, and if they're not added in there, yeah, you get the Henderson County Schools app, and then you go at the bottom, it says rooms. And then, but parents, log in. If you get on our Facebook page later tonight, I'll put a link on there for band. That way parents only can join. I'm in the process. You'll see wrestlers on there, but I'm about to kick them all off. Just that way, because on band, I can put out a lot of information and do a lot of stuff. So that's wrestlers. If you need me, if you have a waiver, feel free to call me because we have that approved. But if not, use the rooms app because last thing we want to do is get a coach in trouble or somebody in trouble for communications. Now, I know our coaches. I trust all my coaches, and I got waivers with a majority of my kids. But I understand that it's a parent's prerogative if they choose not to do the waiver. That way they have peace of mind. So we're okay with that. So make sure you get that done. So I'll post a link to band for parents on the Henderson County Wrestling Facebook page. You can go on there and do that. Um, I can check. So if you've submitted waivers for other coaches other than me, let me know. I can pull up because like I say, I teach here at the high school. I teach law enforcement. I am a deputy sheriff for the Henderson County Sheriff's Department, but I work full time here at the school teaching law enforcement. So I can pull up Infinite Campus and look and pull up and tell you if the kid has a waiver or not and who they're approved because it's right on their stuff. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's Facebook, the Henderson County Wrestling Facebook page, whether it's through band. If you know me and got my number, call me, or you find somebody that's a friend that call. My poor wife hates wrestling season because my phone rings nonstop. But thank God she's very loving and very understanding. Yes. Does anybody got any questions? If nobody has any questions, I will cut you loose. Make sure you get in a fundraiser sheet, a schedule, and that if for some reason you didn't sign up, you're somebody that just seen my post on Facebook about wrestling and you hadn't actually signed up during the time, or you're a 7th grade girl from middle school, if you'll write your student name and the parent name and phone contact number here. No, I got her. I got both of them. They're good.
So I just send a check to school.
Yes. Fundraising money just comes to me. So give it to your wrestler or fees or whatever. It comes to me.
Okay.
And you make if you write a check, make it out to Henderson County Wrestling.
Club Rush, does it still count?
Yep, it counts.